It's gonna be alright.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Johnversations. My name is John Graham, and I am here at the National Religious Broadcasters Association, and I am so excited to be joined by Benny DiChiara. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man.
Good to see you, man.
Here.
So last year we tried to do this.
Yeah.
And we actually think we did it twice.
We did.
And everything messed up.
Yes.
So,
twice and nothing, but not really.
Right. Well, we got a relationship out of
That's,
it. We just didn't get an interview out of it.
Nothing replaces that.
That's right. That's right.
God's good.
Yeah. So Benny is with the band, and I guess founder of the band Empowered.
Yeah.
And Christian rock.
Yeah, so to speak.
So to speak.
It's a little bit of something for everybody. I mean, back in the day, in my BC life, I had a secular rock band. I had hair, and
me too at one time.
Well,
yeah.
see, but that's why less is more. So we did the circuit, New Orleans, Southeast, all that kind of stuff, trying to be famous, right?
Yeah.
And then I got saved in '95, and the Lord and I had a big discussion. I'm like, man, I've got all this stuff in here. So what do you want me to do with it? I really don't want to do tambourines and hallelujah. I mean, I will.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Hey, I'm a worship pastor, and nobody likes the tambourine player.
I'm like,
so.
And I'm like, and if they're offbeat, especially.
Yeah.
I'm just me.
It cuts through everything.
It just cuts through. So I was like, and God said, man, have I been waiting for you? And I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah, the just because you're saved and you're a Christian now does not mean you immediately go into the boring category.
Yeah.
I need to let people know that what I did in your life I can do in there. So let's go. And ever since then, it's been a party, man. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
So you had a personal experience that kind of carved, I don't know, set the pace for this thing. An accident. Tell me about that.
Yeah, 2012 we did a full-length CD, and that was great. We were working on that. I'm still going through some band member changes, this, that, and the other. But 8 years ago in October already, there was this election coming up, right? Big national election. I'm the Politico in my house. My wife is not. She just says, what are we doing? And so I stayed up late because I wanted to see, there was a lot of crazy people running. I wanted to see who was the least crazy.
Right.
That lined up with me and my morals and my Christian values especially. So I fell asleep on a sofa. So 6:30 in the morning, my alarm goes off, which is on my phone in my bedroom. I'm on a sofa. So I'm a married guy, right? I'm like, man, I'm in trouble. So I recall Donna, she came out of the room. She had the phone extended. I've got a 20-minute gaping hole in my life that I cannot remember. So she told the neurosurgeons that by the time I was on my hardwood floors next to her in my living room and she held my phone out, I was horizontal going down. And they were like, well, how did he slip? Socks, water, none of that. How did he catch himself? Nothing, she says. I just dropped straight. My head struck the hardwood floors. I wound up with a double fracture in the back of my skull. I did not break the skin, so I bled out into my face.
Oh, man.
I'm from Baton Rouge, so it looked like the 50-yard line at LSU, like big old, green, purple, whatever. And she said I tried to crawl to the recliner, and she says, no, come lay down. Well, in my prior life, as I was younger, I was a Navy corpsman, like a medic. So you don't lay people down with a head injury. You could sleep them into a coma. I didn't think about it. I jump into bed, and it's amazing. For your listeners, it is amazing how in 1982 I go through training for medicine with the military.
Yeah.
And then all those years later, in 2016, all that training came back, right? And the room's spinning, I'm hearing stuff. And I looked at Donna, I said, we have to go. So we went to the hospital. So ICU, so many MRIs, I should be able to see through stuff. And ICU for observation, whatever, after 3 days or so, they sent me home. They said, your brain it's going to shut down. That's how the brain heals itself. So sure enough, first month at home in a recliner, I lived in my recliner for 4 months because I had to sleep upright. And,
right.
20 hours a day I slept the first month. I was non-existent. They didn't even know if I was going to come back. I couldn't walk, talk, recognize. It was not, every 3 hours. Donna became a full-time nurse, so every 3 hours, meds, a Powerade, and an Ensure because I wasn't eating. I weighed 198 when I got hurt, and at the end of that first month, I think I was in the 160s.
Wow.
There's better ways to lose.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and people say, you know, what do you think? And I'm like, well, obviously God was getting my attention, right? And so I know I had given you the 3 days CD. So Jeremiah 29:11, he literally audibly spoke that to me. And I think we talked a little bit about that, and he's just been dialing down ever since. It's pretty amazing, you know. People go, "Is it that simple?" And you know what? It is. We just have to be open to hearing what he's trying to tell us.
So you guys, from that's part of your testimony as you minister.
Yeah.
And tell me what sets your band apart.
What sets our band apart is I want to say this. Okay, I'm just going to say this. So when I talk to churches and we want to go do shows, and I'm telling their pastors or their worship men, I'm like, listen, we're not a praise and worship band.
Yeah.
We are a performance and worship band. And they're like, a lot of them say, I've never heard that before, right? So I'm like, look, this is just me. Your praise and worship team has one goal, to usher the body into the Spirit so that they can receive what the Spirit gave you, the pastor, as a message for them, right? And like, right, I'm like, I don't have that opportunity. I don't have you come in behind me. So when we do our stories in between songs and we're ministering in between the songs plus the songs themselves, because God gave us that. So we're not trying to be famous. We're trying to make Jesus famous, like he needs that.
Yeah, right.
That is the most, if they don't feel the love of Jesus come across the footlights, then we need to quit and go do parties or something. Nothing against party bands, but I'm just saying you're missing your mission, right? You know, and so God's gift to us is the ability to have music. So empowered, the name empowered, right? God empowered us with music so we can empower others. So when they leave a show or when they leave hearing what we're doing, they can go and empower other people. And I think that's the heart of what we're trying to do as a band. Okay,
so I'm going to look up your YouTube channel.
All right.
So while we do that, tell me about your latest single that you've just dropped. I mean, or an album.
Yeah, we did. Yahweh Nisi is the new record, and so in the Hebraic, it's "The Lord is my banner." You know, and it's funny because God kind of spoke to me. He's disappointed in the world. Christians are running around silent with all the evil going in the world. There we are. And you know, the Lord said, I need a war cry. Right now, time is short. I'm about to send a boy. So I need a war cry. So if I suggest if you're driving listening to Yahweh Nisi, put on a seatbelt tight because it's moving.
Well, let's find it. You want that first cut?
That and then the radio single is Jesus Can Heal the World. We just did the official video for that. Mikey Howard, 7 Time Down, Love Journey Music. He's our producer. He and I co-did on that, and it's
all right.
sweet.
Here's a little taste.
We didn't mean to make this mess. We're barely holding on to something. Feels like it's slipping through our hands. If we face it alone, it's a fight that we're gonna lose. But if we call on his name,
I love it.
Here it comes.
Jesus can heal the world we've broken. His love can put the pieces back together.
Yeah, Brian, that's awesome.
And so, and tell me, John, does the world not need to know that Jesus can heal the world?
Oh,
We're
man.
broken. You know,
Absolutely.
you look around at everything going on in the world and on the internationals, everything is in the last book. So guess what that means? We're living in the last book. So as artists, part of our thing is we need to point people to him, and that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. I'll tell you something that I love about this band right here. I don't think anybody's under the age of 30.
Me neither. and neither me. Actually, the only one under 30 is our bass player. He's the baby.
Yeah.
And so I tell people, like, Empowered's our name. Our sub name should be Band of Misfit Boys, because you know I went through a divorce a long time ago, nasty in my BC life. Just it was horrible, and whew, you know, and then a traumatic brain injury 8 years ago. 4 years ago, my wife had breast cancer surgery because that came up. My drummer, Mick, his son at 7 years old, got diagnosed with leukemia. So he spent a year in St. Jude's, right? He's about to ring the bell this August. We are so stoked.
Awesome.
And this kid's in school telling everybody how Jesus saved his life.
Yeah.
He's melting kids' faces off. Their chins are dragging the floor. It's awesome. Shane's been through some things personally. Justin's been there. The baby, Jeff, my bass player, his mom overdosed when he was 16.
Wow.
So there's a lot of drama that happens in your life, whether you are saved or not. There's a lot of drama, right? So for us, when we take our combined histories, right, and we point people to his history, our hope and our prayer is that God puts that on people's heart and they go, wow, if he can do that for them, he can do that for me. All they have to do is press in and they can have that same thing.
Yeah.
So for us, when we're on stage, it's a party for Jesus, but we break down and we do one song from the first CD, from the Soul Cry CD, called Heal My Heart. And it was just, even as a Christian, I was just having this, I cried out and I'm like, Lord, heal my heart. And so when we played that live, we did a live show at an outdoor amphitheater at the end of last year, and I told Mick, I said, God told me to free up the front of the stage for you and tell your story about Cruz. And he's like, no, that's your job.
Well,
and I'm like, no, it's not.
The point is, and I with no disrespect to folks that are younger, of course, but the longer you've been on this planet, the more you've walked through with the Lord.
That's right.
And the more you bring to the audience.
That's right.
Your life stories.
That's right.
Your success stories, your failures, for
That's right.
crying out loud.
That
I
is
mean,
true.
they need to hear that I failed and I survived
That's
because
right.
God is faithful. You know.
That's right. And his grace.
Yeah.
And his grace with it. I told it's here's a good example. I was talking to a music pastor at a big church in Louisiana, and I said, look, I want to do an artist visit, drop off a press kit to you. We'd love to do a show, team up with your praise team, do that. Because when I do churches, we want the praise teams to open and be involved in. It's a camaraderie thing. And he goes, let me get this right. You want to drive 3 hours to me to drop off a physical press kit to talk to me about a show? I said, yes. And you know what he told me? You're going to love it. He goes, you know there's email, right? And so in me, because God wired me different, right? I said, can I help you with that? When God decided to save the world, he did not send an email, and Jesus was an attachment. He sent the man, right? Why? So we could have physical relationship with him on this earth, and he forever changed eternity by doing that, right? And gave up his life and all. So, and he's laughing. He goes, I need to be able to use that. I'm like, that's great, but I need a meeting. so we actually had the meeting. When I walk in, the first thing he tells me, he goes, Benny, in person.
Yes,
I'm like,
awesome.
he got it, right?
That's
and
awesome.
So kind of that's how we're you know that everybody talks about the joy of the Lord, and for me, when you're living for him and you're walking in what he has for you, there's no greater joy in that. And people should be able to look at you and go, I want what John's got. Like, what is different about him besides the hip glasses? What else is there?
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And then we're supposed to share. And so that's the goal, folks. We're just having a great time.
Awesome. Okay, so Benny, how can folks stay connected with you, your band, your schedule? How could they reach out, maybe get a concert booked?
Yeah, man. So our website is very easy. It has nothing to do with the band name. It's Rockin', ROCKIN, the number 4, Jesus, rockinforjesus.com. So
all right.
It was available. We signed stuff like that, so it worked out. And so everything's on there. There's a contact form on the back page of the website, and they can get in touch with and do that. But we're also on all the social media platforms. We're easy. It's Empowered Official on Instagram, and on Facebook it's the same thing. So so right now we're trying to set up shows through the end of the year, touring a new record. So
awesome.
We're excited what God's doing.
Absolutely.
It's
well,
awesome.
Man, it's so good we're able to do this again and see
Right.
each other again. It's been I feel like, you know, we're just down the hall from each other in the hotel here.
That's right. That's right.
Bumped into each other in the airport. I mean, in the elevator.
That's
Felt
right.
like the airport. But anyway,
Kinda like.
Benny DiChiara, Empowered. So glad to visit with you. And remember, it's going to be all right. Thanks for being with me on another Jonversation.
It's gonna be all right.